Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to show you how to make a flange using SolidWorks. This is a really basic mechanical component that introduces a lot of the beginner skills used in SolidWorks. So let's begin. To start, you're going to go up here to this white paper icon. It means new. Click it and then double click part. So now you're given this blank work area. So up in the command manager, we want to sketch on this front plane. For now, really deciding which plane to sketch on is all user preference. It really just, you're going to use the other planes when we start getting into more advanced SolidWorks modeling. So I prefer to use the front plane, so that's what I'm going to go with. So hit the front plane, and now we're going to be sketching on the front plane. So we're going to choose circle, and we want to start this circle at the origin, drag it out. It's really important to start any sketch you can at the origin. It serves as a really good reference point for any other sketching you're going to have to do. This will become more apparent as we go along, and I'll point it out then, but for now, just make sure you start at the origin. It'll make your life that much easier. Going to hit check. Then we're going to go to Smart Dimension up here in the Command Manager. Click Sketch, and usually it will not highlight the circle like that immediately. You have to click the circle, drag that out, and there we go. We're going to change this to 5 inches. And just so you know, just a little heads up, so SolidWorks is defaulted into inches right now, but down in this bottom right, you see this thing called IPS. This stands for inches and seconds. These are the units SolidWorks is going to do everything in. You can change this at the beginning to be meters, kilograms, second, centimeters, grams, second, and millimeters, grams, and seconds. I just use inches, pounds, and seconds because that's what I do most of my modeling in. So there we go, 5 inches. And this is something you can change throughout if you need to. So we can make it 5.5 real quick. Circle will change, but we want it to stay at 5 inches. Check. And then we'll go back up to the command manager, hit features, and then we're going to choose extruded boss base. This is going to turn your 2D sketch into a 3D object. So we're going to choose the blind feature, and this just means that it's going to extrude your part out a specified distance. So we're going to choose 1 inch. And there are other options too. These are more advanced things. This is up to vertex, up to surface. This is when you have a more advanced model, you can extrude something up to the next surface that it comes in contact with, or the next vertex it comes in contact with. I don't use much of these whenever I'm modeling, so I don't really know what to tell you about those, but once you get into more advanced stuff, I'm sure you can find anything online about that. So we're going to hit the check mark, and there we go. So now hit the space bar, and we're going to go back to looking at this from a perpendicular view. So we're going to go back to the command manager, hit sketch, sketch again. We want to sketch on this face, so click that front face, and then go up and click your circle. So now we can base our next sketch at the center of our first part. This is why sketching on the origin is so important. If you did not do this, you would have to find the center of your part using other methods, and that's just not fun. This is a really easy way to make adding on to your drawings very easy. So we're going to smart dimension that circle, and let's make it 3 inches. There we go. Check. Features, extruded boss base again. This one, we're going to make it extrude out 3 inches. Go, check mark, boom. There we go. So let's hit that space bar again and go back to that front face. So now we're going to sketch on this new face. It's highlighted in blue. It's the one we just made. We want to sketch on that to make the center hole. So we're going to choose circle again, and we're going to have to center that one at the origin as well. Again, this is why it's very important to use that origin. We're going to smart dimension it. And we want this one to be 1.75 inches. Check. Go to features. And we're not going to use extruded boss base. We're going to use extruded cut. This does kind of the same thing as extruded cut, except it cuts out material instead of adding on material. So this is going to cut all the way through our part. And again, you can use blind where you just give a specified distance for the cut. But for this, we're going to use through all, where it'll cut all the way through your part up until it reaches the very end. So we hit check, and there it is, cut all the way through the part. So let's go back to this front view, click on this, and now we're going to want to make our bolt holes. So we're going to go to sketch. We're going to click our original face to sketch on. First thing we want to do is we're going to make these things SolidWorks labels as center lines. I'm going to call them construction lines because it makes a lot more sense in my head that way. But these construction lines, if you watch me do this, you can also see this blue dashed line shows up when a straight vertical line will intersect the origin and a straight horizontal line will intersect the origin. But these construction lines serve as a reference for sketching. They do not add anything to the sketch. If you were to extrude these or try to extrude these, SolidWorks will not recognize that. They're kind of imaginary lines that are just used to help you do some more sketching. So now that we have those, we need to put in our first bolt hole. So we're going to go out like that, and then we want to smart dimension it. For these, we want them to be a 3/8 bolt hole. So to do that, SolidWorks understands mathematical operators. So 3 divided by 8, they'll recognize is 3/8 and change that to whatever decimal it needs to be. I do not know what 3/8 is off the top of my head as a decimal, so I'm just going to do that. So you get this hole right here. Also, we want to make sure it's a certain distance away from the center. So we're going to choose this construction line. We want to make sure it's 2 inches away. So Smart Dimension can not only define how big your circle is, it can also make your sketches a certain distance away from other sketches or other 3D objects as well. So we're just going to make that 2. I like it. We'll hit check. And now we're going to use a new tool under linear sketch pattern, hit this down arrow and do circular sketch pattern. This will allow us to create the 4 bolt holes around that first face a lot easier than drawing all of them. So under parameters, we're going to go ahead and click that first circle and it pops up. This is a circle going through the center of our original one, and it will create 3 more circles. You can change kind of what you want to do. If you don't want it to be 360 degrees around, you can change that. If you want more than 4, you can change that. If you want the radius of the circle to be bigger, you can change that as well. We're just going to keep it like this because this is what we want our part to look like. We hit check, and then we have all 4 bolt holes right there. Now we're going to use extruded cut again. And you can see with blind that's going to cut very far through. We're just going to use the through all tool again. Hit check. There they are. 4 bolt holes. So now we're on the last step. This last step, we're going to use the fillet tool under the features command manager. This brings up this little interface. And what a fillet is it's a tool for machinists to be able to machine parts easier, because when they're using their big metalworking machines, they can't make these 90-degree cuts with their parts. It's just not physically possible for them. So we use fillets to make sure that our part will still come out how we desire it. So we can use these fillets to make it so the machinists can machine them to our specifications. They also serve a purpose solid mechanics wise, which you'll learn this in school, where they get rid of stress concentrations if your part is going to be feeling a lot of forces in angles. So it has 2 purposes. For our part, for this part, since it doesn't feel a whole lot of stress, we're just going to use it so the machinists have a much easier time making it. So we're going to click the edges that we want filleted. So we want to click that outside edge. We want to click this one right here, this top one, and this inside one on the cut. There we go. It also gives you a little preview of what it's going to look like. Then we can change the radius of that fillet down here. We want these to be 0.2 fillets. Get them nice and big so it's easy to make. Hit that check mark, and there you go. Your fillets kind of come in. They look really nice. The machinists are going to be really happy you use big fillets because it makes their job a little easier. And so, yeah, this is how you make a flange on SolidWorks. I hope you guys learned a lot. I hope you guys can apply this to whatever projects you're working on. So, yeah, have a good day, guys.